welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift, the podcast for Swifties who like to dive a layer deeper into the music. So lean in close, turn up your volume, because class is in session. We're your hosts. I'm Monsi.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jody.
And we are your unofficial professors of Taylor Swift.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of AP Taylor Swift. This week we are doing a deep dive of Opalite. This is a continuation of, we're already dancing. I saw Jen bopping.
It's a bop.
It's a total bop. I'm so excited. It's going to be hard not to dance during this. This is a continuation of last week's episode where we did Transcendentalism, Nature as Divine in honor of Earth Day, Earth Month, Mother Earth. So if you didn't listen to that episode, press pause, go back, listen to that, because there might be some things we talked about there that we maybe don't repeat here. And
Monty's trying to put a plant in
I was
her
trying
hair.
to figure out what she's doing. I think it's a plant.
Had a bean sprout thing that I meant to wear in the last episode and I forgot.
Okay. Wow. I love this. Well,
It's going to be a 5-hour long episode.
Yeah. So while she's putting on her bean sprout, Opalite came out in 2025 on the album The Life of a Showgirl. This was track 3, written by Taylor Swift, Max Martin, and Shellback. Jen, why don't you remind us how we do a deep dive?
So we will use the rhetorical triangle. So who is the speaker? Who is the I in this story? Who are they speaking to? So who is the you? So like, who are these characters? And then what's the purpose? What's actually happening in this song? What's the purpose of it? And at the end, we will each say what we think the purpose is after we have gone through this line by line.
I've got my tablet with my pen ready. I'm so
Sweet.
excited. So let's start, as we often do, with the title. Opalite is a man-made glass designed to mimic natural opal. So that's what we're dealing with.
I feel like we have a little bit of information and context going into this because Taylor Swift made her lyric video movie thing where she was like, this is where I came up with this word. And
Yeah.
worth saying that Opalite was one of the things that she just had written down
She's
as a
like, "That
concept
sounds
in her
cool."
collection of words as things that she likes. And Travis Kelce's birthstone is opals, and I think they had a thing about opals. So that's the literal Taylor Swift version of the word.
Okay, so we got into this last week, but I need to be educated. Opal is cursed? Tell me more.
Well, I confirmed that the cursed necklace in Harry Potter is actually made of opal. So thank you. The ex-president of Magical Muggles has her shit together even after all these years. I think opals are meant to be just like a stone that's associated with dark things.
Some cultures have attributed supernatural powers to opals, believing they possess qualities of all other gemstones.
Apparently, the idea of the cursed opal was popularized by fiction, 19th century fiction, particularly Sir Walter Scott's novel Anne of Geierstein.
I know my
Or
mother
tarnished
said you're not
opal.
supposed to buy yourself an opal. Somebody can gift you
Okay.
opal.
Yeah, tarnished
Apparently,
opal
based on
brings
superstition and tradition, certain zodiac signs should avoid opals. Some sources say Aries, Leo, Scorpio, and Cancer. Non-October birthdays, the myth says it's unlucky for those not born in
Yes.
October to wear it, but this is widely debunked. And then those buying for themselves. Some superstitions claim it's bad luck to buy your own opals, but this is considered an old wives' tale.
I wonder what it is. Indian culture definitely has like big lore around stones. So, for example, like sapphires are said to be like can bring you a ton of wealth or take it away if you don't wear it, like if it's not for you and it has to do with your birth chart. I wonder what they say about opals.
I think the thing that is so fascinating to me, which we started to touch on last week, but just again with the title Opalite, opal is nature-made, opalite is man-made. So we're starting off with a sense of, I think, agency and creation. Opalite is something that a human has made like on their own. It's not something you're just going to go find in nature. So instead of like waiting to discover opal, you could say she is creating opalite to get the same thing. So I think that there is that element too, just right off the bat. Because I remember when she did, it's in our episode where we talked about her appearance on the New Heights podcast and doing the song title reveal, that we all were like, why opalite, not opal? Like opalite is so specific.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on it last week.
we got an answer both in the head of the lyric video, but also I think she mentioned it on the New Heights podcast that she liked this idea of the metaphor of opalite being man-made and creating something beautiful, man creating something beautiful, as opposed to something like just having to naturally occur.
I think in the conversation of stones and luck and unluckiness, I mean, there is also something there to creating your own luck, right? Like you could have a stone that brings you luck. And I think the fact that it's a man-made stone, it's also like, well, if you can't have the stone that brings you luck, like what if you can make it yourself?
What if you can make it yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that kind of tracks. Also, I'm going to go ahead and volunteer for this Substack and do like a deep dive on opals.
I know. I'm like reading about it and I'm like, this is really cool. Love
like
that. Okay.
so-
All right. So I will read the first verse. I had a bad habit of missing lovers past. My brother used to call it eating out of the trash. It's never gonna last. I thought my house was haunted. I used to live with ghosts. And all the perfect couples said, when you know, and when you don't, you don't. We've got our eye
We do.
right out
It's
of the
also
gate.
an interesting rhyme scheme
Yes.
because it's A, B, A, B, B, but they're not, it's an imperfect rhyme because trash and last and past aren't perfect.
Well, eating out of the trash is on the same line as it's never gonna last.
It's not for the one I'm looking at. So
Well,
that's interesting.
it's a very story-driven verse. We often will get either like a
just gonna say,
story-driven
yeah.
verse or like a poetic verse, and this is more of a narrative. Here's the story I'm trying to tell and the scene I'm trying to set, as opposed to
Yeah. Whenever she uses dialogue,
that's a good way to put
like
it.
my brother used to call it blah, like it feels immediately like we're getting a story here
Yeah.
because it feels like you're going back into a particular time.
Right. We're
Also,
getting
fun fact, I wanted to check when you were saying this about the rhyme scheme, but it's a limerick.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I think it is an actual
line break.
I'm seeing both. I'm checking multiple sources. I don't know if we have an official Taylor source, but I am seeing eating out of the trash. It's never going to last. Half the time it's on one line, half the time it's on two separate lines. So that's interesting.
Hello, I've got the
But
album.
it's not a limerick because it's not A, B. It's not.
Hold, please.
It's A, B, A, B, B.
Yeah, it's only four A, B, A, B, B, which is different than a limerick, which is A, B, B, A. So, yeah, no, a limerick would have had just like one line at the end that rhymes with AA.
Excuse me. I love this.
Not quite a
album.
limerick, but interesting, like very similar in that it's
got
I'm
that
sure there's
like
a name to
pithy, self-contained
Yeah.
kind of feel to it.
Eating out of the trash is one line.
So it's eating out of the trash, line break. It's never gonna
last. Yeah. And then the same thing with and all the perfect couples, line break, said when you know, line break, and when you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Primary source material.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, okay, so not a limerick, and eliminate that. 5 lines in each verse, and it definitely does have like a musical kind of rhyme. Feels storytelling because we have some quotes.
Yes. So I
mean,
had
also
a bad
you have a
habit.
haunted house.
Yeah. So if we go line by line, my bad habit was I used to miss my old lovers. And my brother was like, that ain't a good idea. But also, like, the line specifically, my brother used to call it eating out of the trash, is just poetry.
Well, especially because it comes out right after of missing lovers past.
Right.
Like that is such
Whimsy.
a poetic way of saying something. It's like, I mean, it's there for the rhyme, but it's also just I had a bad habit of missing lovers past, where past comes after the word rather than before.
Missing past
You have something
lovers.
that sounds like Old English. It sounds like an inversion of the words that we would normally say. And then it goes from that to eating out of the trash. Like,
It's also, I never would have thought of this if we hadn't done our deep dive into the fate of Ophelia, but we talked about how in Hamlet, the person who could have saved Ophelia was her brother, but her brother, Laertes, didn't come back. And so we get fate of Ophelia, and then two songs later, we have a brother's wisdom being like, you need to stop doing this.
I love that.
Yeah. She's like reclaiming, like, hey, Laertes couldn't do it, but my
Yeah.
brother helped.
And her brother doesn't get a lot of call-outs in songs. This is a very family-driven song. We get her brother and her mom.
I know. This is like, is it
The Best Day?
Best Day? Yeah. So
Yeah.
brother's like, you threw them out for a reason. Don't go back in there.
I have a question about It's Never Gonna Last.
Yeah.
Is it that the relationships are never gonna last, or her going back to it is never gonna last? So like this habit is never gonna last.
I think it's the relationships. Like, it's eating out of the trash because
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
you got rid of them once
Makes
before.
sense. I was never super clear. Yeah.
Right, because you would think that the quotation would go until it's never gonna last, like, that he would say the whole thing, but I
Yeah.
feel like she is interpreting it's eating out of the trash to mean it's never gonna last, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get
On
sick.
again, off again's not a sustainable
exactly.
lifestyle.
And it sounds like that's why I thought my house was haunted. I used to live with ghosts because the trash,
The lover's past.
the trash, the ghosts, like those are all how she's referring to these lovers past.
I think we've talked about this once in the past, maybe when we were discussing the song Haunted, but I think that's like one of the words that she uses very often in her lyrics. So I think it's funny how she's used it here in a kind of like different way. It's like leaning into the haunted house, but because she used to live with ghosts, which are her bad habit. Like it feels a little humorous to me, it's not her most serious use of the word.
Yeah.
And I think of the anti-hero music video about everyone you've ghosted is in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of anti-hero being this vulnerable song about I'm the problem, it's me, and like some of the ghosts or her own demons in some ways, and that an anti-hero is like self-blame, it's all my fault. And then the idea here is to me, this is flipping it on its head and saying, I thought my house was haunted and I used to live with ghosts of I kind of did do that to myself.
Right.
And we're setting a stage here of the past of I had a bad habit. My brother used to call it, I thought I used to live. So we're still in past tense here, and we have a lot of songs of her feeling haunted by things. And we don't know at this point in the song what the present tense is, but we know this is past tense, so that's
interesting.
Yeah. And then all the perfect couples said, when you know, and when you don't, you don't.
I love this line because I always say this to people, and I know it pisses people off.
Yes, it does piss people off. As people,
I know, but
people off.
I know as someone with some level of self-introspection, whatever, self-awareness, I understand why
self-introspection or whatever that nonsense.
Whatever that is,
that word. I understand why it would piss people off, but the facts remain that when you know, and when you don't, you don't.
Yeah. So I question, is she saying this positively or flippantly?
I think she's saying it flippantly.
If I even personally ever associated like an emotion with it,
Yeah.
I felt like she was setting the stage of here's what my past was. I had this bad habit. My brother was like, the advice from her brother was you need to stop eating out of the trash. And I also in the past my house was haunted, and the advice from the perfect couples was like when you know, when you don't, you don't. Like stop eating out of the trash. Good advice from the brother, but it's not necessarily advice on it's stop doing this. It's not advice on how to move forward. So it's a lot of like, here's the stage of where I was, and all the advice I was getting was like not the most helpful in giving me momentum to go forward.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of trapped feeling in that.
I think it definitely comes across that the advice was not helpful.
Right. Because it's like, that's just saying, well, you're telling me when I know, and I don't know. So I guess I don't know. Like that's how
no.
it feels.
I think it means if you don't know, then that
you're not.
means
it's not the right person,
yeah,
and I don't know. But like that again, to your point, Monty, is like
so then
the most
what do you
frustrating advice. So like, what do I do?
Fully.
Yeah, it's a very stuck feeling of these lyrics. I knew where I was, but I didn't really know how to move forward or do something different.
Because knowing isn't really good enough. It's like, okay, how do I get there? And this advice does nothing for that.
Great. Okay.
Which is so fascinating because she did say, I don't remember the exact quote, but in the Eras Tour documentary, she said something along the lines of like, at a certain point, you've got to try something new.
Well, that was the advice that her mother gave her when she was like, I got something to tell you and you're not going to like it. Well, but there's this real cute boy and he's an athlete and he likes his mom.
We got it like later on. We got a lot of what her mom tells her.
Her mom is telling her a lot.
Yes.
All right.
We've learned that her mom is full of gems, opalites.
We get more others. because there's a lot of other
Yes.
people in this song. And
There are
Yes.
many characters, yes.
all of the foes and all of the friends
All the king's horses and
That's
all
what
the
it feels
king's
like.
men.
have seen it before. They'll see it again. Life is a song. It ends when it ends.
Couldn't
I was
put Humpty
wrong.
together again.
The commentary while I'm trying to read the lyrics, Fonzie.
You have to read it in parallel to get the real vibes.
I do like all of the foes and all of the friends, so that's everyone, arguably. I guess there are strangers, but it's sort of like everyone who hates me and everyone who likes me, which in the world of Taylor
Is
Swift,
everybody.
that does define most people.
Isn't there that toast of like, to cheers to those who wish you well and to everyone else give them help? I don't know. Never mind. There's a toast that's basically like that about everybody. I like that. I like the fact that that's everyone.
Has seen it before and they'll see it again. What's it?
Kind of assumed that bad habit. To me, the introduction verse is sort of this cycle of here's the stuff I keep doing on loop, and we're getting a loop again of they've seen it before, they'll see it again. Life is a song, it ends when it ends. So a song ends and then a new song starts. So we're in this loop. I was wrong. Like the I was wrong is where it's like everything up until that point is here's where I was, here's the cycle I was in, here were the choices I was making. I used to go to lovers past. So multiple times, eating out of the trash, it's never going to last. So doing that over and over again. But then we end the pre-chorus with, I was wrong. Like, the finger goes up, there's a but here, there's a, something's changed, something's breaking the cycle.
Yeah, that either this, like you're saying, the metaphor of the song, it ends when it ends, or it's like the relationship ends when it ends.
I thought it was like a metaphor of a song. If life is a song, they're always gonna end,
right?
But a new song will play, but no song lasts forever,
right?
Do you think that the I was wrong is referring to the habit, this past attitude, or do you think I was wrong is what she believed? Like she believed she was the problem. She was wrong.
I like that interpretation because then you get the but afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that also happens in Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. In the bridge, she says, I'm always drunk on my own tears. Isn't that what they all said? That I'll sue you if you step on my lawn, that I'm fearsome, I'm wretched, and I'm wrong. And when we talked about that song, we did the same thing of, is she incorrect or is something about her like wrong or not? Like how the word, we played with the word wrong there. And this is like my theory, how a lot of this album and Opalite in particular seems very self-referential because she talks about ghosts, she talks about being haunted. So I love the idea because she does wrestle with like, is there something wrong with me? Am I the giant on the hill? And even when we did the deep dive of The Outside from her debut album of like, I'm taking the road less traveled. Is that weird? Should I be doing this? Like she's always had this internal debate about sort of trusting herself in some ways.
Yeah, because like it does kind of sound like she's listing out all the things and then they're all in past tense, right? Like it just feels like a laundry list. And then going into the but is actually like what
you're
right. Thinking.
I think you're right.
Because it's like, here's everything, here's the state of everything. And then despite it all, but my mama told me it's all right.
Yeah. No, you're totally right about that.
So does that bring us to the chorus?
Yeah.
So, but my mama told me it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. Oh my lord, never made no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Oh. And I am pulling out the official lyrics to see if it really, all of that is really in quotes or not. Because in mine, it says that whole thing after, but my mama told me is in quotes. But
I have no quotes on the one I'm looking at.
I don't either. I don't have quotes either. But
I'm glad you have the official source.
There's no quotes in the official source.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because there are quotes around eating out of the trash and when you know you know, and when you don't
and
you
when
don't.
you don't, you don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because if it was all in quote, that would be a direct quote from Mama, and
Mama Swift.
that would be slightly different. I think here we feel like we're paraphrasing.
Yeah.
It's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes.
So we talked a lot about this in
think-
last week's episode to talk
Yes.
specifically about a lot of the nature imagery, which I think will just kind of like summarize the nature imagery here. But go ahead, Monty.
Actually, so I wanted to say this in our last discussion, but I actually think it was like more appropriate for this conversation. When she says lightning strikes, Jody, like you mentioned last week, that it's kind of like thinking about like dancing through something which is positive in something that is a negative situation.
Yeah.
Like lightning is dangerous. It feels stormy. It feels negative. I also was thinking about the fact that lightning strikes are things that don't happen very often. Like there can be lightning, but when you talk about strikes specifically, what does lightning strikes?
Yeah.
You could say like a stroke of lightning, a stroke of genius. Like I think I was thinking about something that to be struck with lightning is probably something that would suck, but may not happen very often unless you're like one of those probability people that get struck by lightning every time, which they exist. And so that to me, like, how does that change the meaning? If it's like something that's rare, it's like you're dancing through these things that keep happening to you that are so rare and may not happen to anyone or be like truly unique things that nobody can relate to. I would say that with Taylor Swift and her life, like if we're talking about the author for a second, there's like so many unique things that have just set her apart from everyone, whether they're positive or negative. It's just like really these big monumental shifts that maybe no one can relate to. And she's just like dancing through it all. Or do we think it's negative?
So self-referential again, I also think it's a reference to Fearless, and I don't know why, but with you, I would dance in a storm in my best dress, Fearless. So we have like on the album Fearless, we also have That's Why I Love You, Screaming and Fighting and Kissing in the Rain, but we
Lots of
specifically
rain.
have dancing in a storm, which a storm implies lightning and thunder. That's what separates a storm from just rain.
Is it specifically?
I think so.
I just thought a storm was like violent rain, but not necessarily thunder and lightning.
What
Whereas
is a storm?
I don't know.
Whereas to Monty, to your point, like a lightning strike as a metaphor is much different than just seeing lightning. A lightning strike could be something powerful and sudden and unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think it's only a reference to Fearless, but I think I just
bring up the
she's
history.
Clearly referencing her own work.
Correct.
So much in this song.
Yeah. Storms can be just common thunderstorms to severe weathers like hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, but like anything with strong winds, heavy precipitation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that idea a lot. I mean, like, yeah, dancing in the rain, like dancing through the storm.
Right.
But then like
and the fact that this is dancing through the lightning strikes, you got dance in the storm. Like
I think it could be both, but like I do think there's something really to like this idea that it's something that no one relates to. It's maybe something that only she has dealt with, and it's like very unique maybe.
According to our AI overlords, a lightning strike can symbolize enlightenment, like a flash of insight, sudden chaos, or a powerful transformative force that illuminates hidden truths or destroys old structures, like a bolt from the blue, changing everything instantly. So like it could be all of the things, but dancing through it, whether you're dancing through something massively positive and changing and sudden or massively negative, is saying like you're getting through this and you're
okay. So like walk with me for a second. So what Jen is saying is like in Fearless in particular, it was about a relationship. It's like I can dance with you in my best dress in the storm. If let's say dancing in storm equals relationship, and we're saying that like every time the lightning strikes, you know, like we know as this artist, she has been known for her many different relationships. And specifically thinking about the Eras tour, for example, where she went through 2 breakups and people didn't even know because she was just night after night on the stage dancing through it. And like literally because that's a part of her job. Like her job is to dance and perform as an artist. I feel like there's also an interpretation. There's an interpretation there of like, through all the relationships, like you would go through a breakup, it would suck. It would be there, it would end, you're still dancing through it, like people can't even tell what happened.
Yeah, the lightning strikes could be lovers' pasts, the eating out of the trash moments. I love that. I also love I just really love this song, and I love that we're like getting so many layers out of it. Because the other thing I was thinking of was combining You Were Dancing Through the Lightning Strike, Sleepless, and the Onyx Night. So onyx is like dark, it's black. What was her black era was reputation. And talking about dancing through the lightning strikes of a dark era, Reputation had a lot of stuff going on. Her social image, her ownership of her work. And I even think of
Midnight's Onyx Night.
that's also true too. But I was thinking of, I want to say it's the Miss Americana documentary when she's hugging her mom and at the end of one of the Reputation shows and her mom's crying and was like, they've put you through so much shit. They've put you through so much shit. And she's like, it's okay, mom, but look what came out of it. Look
Yeah.
what we made out of it. And I feel like just because it's Taylor, it's Onyx Night dancing through lightning strikes and talking to her mom, it makes me think of that moment of these lightning strikes were sent to destroy me, but I made something beautiful out of it. And again, that I made it.
Right.
I made
They
this
were-
thing.
They were sent to destroy me. I was sleepless in a dark night, but now the sky is opalite. Now it is something light, bright, beautiful, but man-made. Specifically,
Yes.
and that's what we go back to what we talked about in the opening, that opalite is a man-made stone that you go from the nature throwing you lightning strikes and an onyx night, but here you've created something that is beautiful.
And what I love is that everything we just said can be true. That at the end of the day, it's things were bad, but I made it through and now I'm celebrating in a brighter time. And it's like, it
That's
could
the
be all of
thesis
the
of the song.
above. Like, being a human is complicated, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's professional disappointments, whether it's a friend betraying you. Like, it's as much as most storytelling in the form of like TV and movies, you kind of pick one or two conflicts. It's really hard to have the collection of conflicts that comes with the human experience. What I like about Taylor does this with some of her songs where it is loose enough that, like, sure, this could be about Travis Kelce, but we know a lot of stuff she's been through and it could be about all of those. And by taking this kind of weird metaphor of these stones, we are having a conversation where we're discussing a wide range of conflicts and disappointments and challenges. And because she didn't say it's about this,
Yeah. See, life's not just about boys.
by using a metaphor
Yeah.
that's like this, we can read into it and we can play with it. And I think that's why we do this podcast. It just makes it more fun.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because there's so many layers. Love the stones metaphor. And then there's also like, I'm kind of thinking about daylight as we're reading
Yeah.
this. Like, it's not the first time
I
she's
thought of that
done
too.
this
Yeah.
night to day
But now I see daylight.
moment.
Yeah.
And so we've like already referenced Fearless. We've talked about Reputation. We talked about Miss Americana. Like, to me, it's like it's talking about a larger just philosophy of getting to life, right? Like, what is our guiding principles? What are our like things? But Daylight was this incredible song of like, now I see daylight. Like, it was in the dark and now it's light. And all she's saying here is the same thing as like, I was dancing sleepless at night. It was nighttime and I just couldn't sleep. I'm getting a sense of like restlessness.
Right.
It was dark. And we were sleepless. And then now it's light. And we can talk about the man-madeness of it, but I think the most important thing is it's just daytime.
Sleepless, Midnights, Onyx Night, Black, Tortured Poets. Now the sky is opalite.
What I love too, and we can maybe move on to the next section of the chorus with this,
Yes.
to your daylight point, Monzi. Daylight is something you have to wait for.
Mm.
Daylight is you're in the middle of the night and you're waiting for that sun to rise. I almost feel like she's reclaiming daylight in some ways of saying daylight was a good idea, but I'm not waiting anymore. It's
Right.
opalite and you had to make your own sunshine.
Well, but let's not skip over the line that I love.
No,
which
no,
is,
no. No, but just
Yeah.
saying that you made there's a
Right.
big difference between waiting for,
yeah.
now I see daylight and made my own sunshine.
And people made that connection too, right? Like,
Yeah.
of like, now
Yeah.
it's golden to like opalite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That love changes colors and life changes colors. But
Yeah.
why does it change colors? Oh my Lord, never made no one like you before. And we talked very briefly in last week's episode that this line changes chorus to chorus. So keep in mind, this first verse was I, about the speaker. And the first verse was I, the speaker. The first chorus is mama to I. And mama is saying, my Lord never made no one like you before. You are unique. You are original. You are someone that the world has never seen before. You had to make your own sunshine. And now this guy is Opalite. Which
Yeah, the line break is really interesting here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes into play in particular in the second chorus when it changes. Because
Yeah. I mean, I always just heard, "Oh my lord," right? Like that's the line,
Right.
and then it's just never
well,
made someone like
unless
you before.
it's her mother saying that I've never made no one like you
I was gonna
before,
say,
which it could.
I love seeing this whole thing from a perspective of her
Yeah.
mom saying it, of like,
I never
of
made
her
no one
mom
like
giving
you
her this,
before.
yeah, and her mom giving her this pep talk. And I think there is something like really sweet about a mom saying like, never, like, Andrea talks about this in the Heiress to her documentary about, yes, how she supported her mom, but how unexpected
Right,
Taylor
it all
and
was.
everything she was as a mother, and how they were just like, I guess if this is who you're gonna be, we're gonna figure it out. How out of her control in some ways it was.
Right.
And I'm sure, I have not birthed a child, so maybe Monty, you
you're our
can
expert.
comment on this, but the idea of having made a human being and then watching that human being become everything that Taylor Swift is, I'm sure that there's moments in Andrea's mind where she's like, I made that person. Like,
I think you could actually have her mom, because like the first
Yeah.
chorus could be about her.
It is.
The
Mhm.
I
next
think it
chorus,
is.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like,
So are we saying that God never made someone like you, or like Andrea's like, I never made no one
Exactly.
like you?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I always interpreted this as, "Oh my lord," and then never made someone like you before. It's almost like I've never done this before. Is kind of like what I read it as like all parents are like, I'm doing this for the first time, but like also usually you can talk to other parents who have done that and like get some sort of guidance. But then she's like, I've never made someone like you before. Specifically, it's like first time doing this thing.
there's no
Like,
support group for parents.
there's no support
of-
group. Like, we're in a league of our own here. But I do like the double meaning kind of having my lord there, because it is also, first of all, it's putting Andrea in the conversation with God and putting him on the same level, which is
Same.
just fantastic. But like, yeah, the fact that it could be either is just really awesome.
I also think that as we have gone through this chorus, there are so many ways to interpret this. And then at the end of the day, this is also a song about making your own sunshine, about
Yes.
man-made opalite, that in some ways, I think everything we've said, there's nothing anyone's pitched for this chorus that I've been like, I don't know about that. I'm like,
No,
oh, I
it's
could buy
all-
that. Oh, I could buy that.
But the
Yeah.
life of a showgirl is such a flat, vapid album. It has no depth.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Don't
Jody, I
trigger
know
me.
you've been saying that since day
Since
one.
day
So I'm hoping we
one.
can
This
change
is
your
like
mind.
an album with no depth.
But I like the idea that this chorus is what you make of it, as is Opalite.
Right. I love that.
So let's go on to
How
the
does she do
next verse. And I want to call out again that the first one started with I, and the first verse and chorus were I. And now we've got you. So I'm going to read this
Mhm.
whole verse. You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real. She was in her phone, and you were just a pose. And don't we try to love love? We give it all we got. You finally left the table, and what a simple thought. You're starving till you're not. Jen is like,
The
I
song
love
just got
that
so much more
line.
real than anything I have ever expected out of the song. Like, I don't think I've ever like really thought about these lyrics.
I
for
have
more than a
loved that
second.
line since the first time I heard it. That last line, which we can wait till we get it, but spoilers, I think it's self-referential.
yeah, but it could be about somebody else. We could extrapolate, which we might for a moment.
And again, it can be both. That's what I love. She's using metaphors and all these things where we can easily weave Taylor into it, and we can easily see ourselves. And I think that's why the song is like,
I want to
had
see
such a long life.
a chart of like, this is Taylor's version. This is if she's talking about someone else. This is if it's my life. Like, you could
Did you
easily
just
just
sign
be
up
like,
for this
what are-
Substack too?
I
She
signed
already-
up to do a
Well, no,
stone
she did
deep
the
dive,
previous
but now maybe
ones, and-
it'll come with a PDF download of a chart. But yeah, I mean, okay, before
I
we
like the
get
idea of it being like a worksheet, like a therapy
Yeah.
worksheet
If
of like,
Taylor
here are the
worksheet,
lyrics.
then-
Taylor is, I am to Taylor as like Opalite is to like what's my Opalite? I don't know. Okay, before we get to the last line that you were talking about, like let's go through it again, because
Yes.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot here.
No, there is.
So we've
First
got
of all, the
you.
idea that Mama is still going on and on about this could be
No.
interesting.
I don't think this is still Mom.
But it could be because it's still talking about you. Or maybe
Okay.
now she's talking to us.
I think this is the speaker now talking
to
to a you. And that's why I specifically called out like the like transition, that the first verse is I, and like the I is story, the speaker talking about their own story, Taylor talking about her story. Now Taylor is talking to you
But can you tell me why it couldn't also be Mama?
because she was in her phone and you were just a pose.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. So like, okay, fine. Let's
I
just
also
keep
like
going. So you
again.
couldn't understand it, why you felt alone.
I also think it's not Mama because like Mama was in the chorus, and
yeah,
think it could be. I think that in the
it doesn't come up again, right? Where does it come up again?
well,
No, I think
the
I think
next
the
chorus
bridge is when we
starts
get
with
more definitively other things.
the next chorus starts, and that's when I told you. So again,
which
so
could
it's
still be the mama saying, and remember
Yeah.
that's when I told you.
no, but my mama
all of
told
this is
me,
Mama.
and then this is,
Yeah.
and
And then
that's
if the
when
rest is
I
in
told
quotes.
you.
Yeah, imagine the whole rest of the song being in quotes.
But there are no
That could be-
quotes.
No, imagine.
But I don't want to.
That what your version is wrong. We're just saying again.
What, like, why?
The
Like, there's
song
no
has a lot of interpretation.
There's no definitive proof to me that Mama has ever stopped talking. I'm tickled by the idea of like we're still getting the advice.
I don't know. I
Potentially.
think because it's now we're out of the chorus, I see the chorus as this like self-contained bit of advice. And now we've switched again. I go back to the first verse being a narrative, and the verses being this narrative, and the choruses being advice. And so I think we are now in a different narrative because we have a different subject, and we're talking to a different person about like a different group of people. And I also just like
I
the
think it could be either.
parallels of the first verse being about I and I's story, and the second verse being about you and your story, and then the bridge being about how it comes together.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just trying to give you the other perspective of like
I know, I'm
we
just not
started.
listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like straight up.
Jody has clearly decided what this is, and she won't entertain other ideas. So we could just move
Like,
on, I guess.
Like I get what you're saying with the first being the I. I'm just saying the you starts after Mama.
Very
told me.
stubborn with this song. Anyway,
And then it never changes. Like it just stays in second person. And so the question is, and you know what? It could be a bit of both. Like it could be speaker talking to us. But I think what maybe Jen and I are saying is like, it's possible the speaker has changed, right? Like halfway through in that first chorus, the speaker is introduced as my mama told me. And then you have like a story within a story because she says you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real. That's the lightning strikes. Like you were dancing through the lightning strikes. You were sleepless in the onyx nights. You were in it for real. And then we don't know who she is. So we can talk about that in just a second. And you were just a pose. You left the table. You were starving till you're not. And then we get into the chorus again, but it never said like it says, but that's when I told you. So that if it's like a parallel to the first one,
right.
The first one was speaker telling us Mama told her.
Right.
And now the speaker has changed and
Correct.
it's just Mama saying, I'm telling you this.
I know the more general fan consensus is that verse 1 is about Taylor singing about herself, and
Right.
verse 2 is Taylor singing about Travis.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that perspective as well.
Yeah.
So I get like why we're thinking that, but
yeah,
I just like forget Taylor and Travis. I like the idea of their lives being the two people's lives being parallel.
I think it's Benjamin Button singing this verse to Meredith.
It's Ron
personally.
and Hermione.
No, it's definitely her cats.
Anyway,
okay.
You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. So kind of similar to that first verse of like, I had a bad habit, like something was wrong. I felt stuck. I love, Jen, what you said about things feeling like just stuck in your place and you can't really figure out like how to get out of this cycle. We have a similar thing here. You couldn't understand why you felt alone.
It's like a parallel path.
Exactly. You were in it. And you were in this for real. You wanted something real, and the opposite of real. I love that the opposite of real is someone being in their phone. Like, I just think that's so 2025.
I really love, too, the idea of you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. At that point, we don't know a whole lot of, like, you couldn't understand it. You felt so alone. You're like, are they
About
alone?
what?
Is that why they feel alone? Oh, no. You were in it for real. So you were actively not alone. yet you felt alone.
Actually, I also think about the fact that, like, when you talk about public figures, for example, like,
Mhm.
it's about photography in some ways. It's like you were out there doing the real thing, and it's almost like somebody is witnessing your life through their phone, like,
Mhm.
the image of you, because it also says you were just a pose there afterwards, like somebody that could be photographed.
Interesting.
Right? Like if somebody is posing and they're just a pose, that's not the real thing. It's like it's just something that can be captured, maybe shared. So I like this idea, especially because we're talking about public figures, of just like there was somebody that was just like observing you through their lens and never saw you as a real human. They just saw you through that.
And yes, and I also love that that works even if you're not famous. Before we were recording, we were talking about how, like, the older we get, the less we post on social media about our
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
lives. And the idea that you don't even have to, nowadays, you don't have to be a public figure, but you could easily be in a relationship with someone who is just using you to go on cute dates, to take
Yes.
photos, to
Yeah.
post on social media, but aren't really pursuing any real intimacy. So you could be in a
Yes.
relationship where you're doing a lot
Just to
together, but
need
you're
the
like,
arm candy, just to
Right.
like
It's
have
yeah.
somebody to post. Yeah.
And you're like, but I feel alone. I don't feel seen. I don't feel
Yeah.
heard. I'm just a pose. I am just here for the
right. For somebody
Instagram
else's grid.
relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it really gets philosophical. And don't we try to love love, we give it all we got, right? Like this, I feel like this is kind of commiserating and bringing the two stories and narratives together. That in the first verse, like, was all about I wanted to find love. When you know, and when you don't, and I clearly didn't. And here's this person, the you, like, you were in it for real, but you felt alone. We try to love love and we give it everything. But then you had to make a choice. You had to do something different. You finally left the table, and what a simple thought. You're starving till you're not. This reminds me, I think, of Tolerated, which I think,
And
yes.
right where you left me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love
I
that.
like that. Oh, yeah.
It's
Maybe
both.
that's better.
I think of both.
I think of both. No,
Yeah.
the table
Yeah, it's not
imagery
either.
was
Because of
so
the Eras tour, I think of specifically the table, but you're
Yeah.
right. Right where you left me is literally
Yeah.
about stuck at a
Being stuck at
restaurant.
a table at a
Yeah.
restaurant.
I mean, they're both. I think it's perfect. I think the way that she uses table there is so interesting. Like in a relationship, what does it mean to come to the table and be
Yeah.
stuck there?
And to be fed or fulfilled
Mhm.
in a relationship or in life. And the agency that you have, you finally left the table. You made a choice. You got up and did something and made a change.
And this is coming after two verses that are telling the stories of someone being deeply stuck in a cycle or in a relationship, verse 1, verse 2, that is not fulfilling. And I also love, to your philosophical point, Jody, of, and don't we try to love love, we give it all we got. I do totally think it could be these two stories coming together, but I also sometimes hear it as this broad statement of, like, hello everyone, don't we try to love
Right.
love, we give it all we got. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like kind of an arms wide open thing of like,
Right.
if you are connecting to this, let me tell you,
Right.
like, if to me it's like, if you
Widening the
connect to these
aperture.
two lines, yeah, if you connect to trying to love love and give it all we got, let me tell you, leave the table. It's
Right.
a simple thought, like,
Right.
I feel like there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, the we. Actually, to your point, I like that because it's the first time we get a we.
Mhm.
And so it could be the royal we, the universal we of opening up the aperture. I like that.
And yeah, that there's agency, and I love it is a simple thought. You're starving
Yeah.
till you're not, of you eat some food and you're not starving. It's
It just goes away.
know,
You're satiated.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, in the world of global starvation, of course it's more complex. Of course there are systemic problems. I don't think this is trying to belittle it, but it's sort of like the idea that you're sitting at a table where you haven't been served and you keep being like,
I
oh,
should
someone will
go.
take care of me.
Yeah.
The sun's going to rise eventually.
Yeah.
All of these things, if I wait at this table,
Something will change.
I'm right where you left me. It's going to happen. And then everything in this song turns and is, I left the table, and turns out I left the table, went over to the place next door and grabbed a bite to eat, and I feel fine now. Like, oh, I could have done that all along.
I actually also my thought was that, like, as long as you're at the table, you are eating, but you could
Not
still be
necessarily.
starved. Whereas, like, no, like, do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? With, like,
yeah.
like, you're at the table, you are being served, but yet
It's like you're
still
being given
hungry.
plastic play food. It's like kids'
Yeah,
play
like,
food. And
this
you're
is
like,
what I
like,
need.
Whereas like when you leave the table, you might be hungry for a while. Like maybe you don't get served anymore, but then one day it just stops.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know
Personal
why I
something.
thought like I associated like table with like why would you be starving if you're at a table?
'Cause
Like why would
have you ever
stay
been
at
at a
table if you
restaurant
were
where
starving?
nobody actually comes to serve you food and they don't
But
take your
then I
order?
think it
It's
would be
like,
easy. I guess like my implication is it's easier to leave a table if you are starving, you know? Like if you're not getting anything, then why sit at the table? And here it's like the thought is I guess my takeaway is like the thought is you're starving
I am
and
starving,
that's
so we're gonna have
hard,
to pick up the conversation.
but
Too bad, so sad.
I realize now while I was so stuck in my ways is because I'm getting hungry. That's why I was like, no, you're
okay.
wrong.
My thesis here then is that
Jody's hungry.
it's okay. Like when you leave, it means that you might go hungry, but you'll only go hungry until you're not. So,
Interesting.
like, if you
I
want
think
to
that's
find more
wrong.
food, you need to
I
get
think
up.
I think I'm deeply influenced by Right Where You Left Me, where I'm just
Yeah.
gonna quickly read the chorus again. Help, I'm still at the restaurant, still sitting in a corner I haunt, cross-legged in the dim light. They say, what a sad sight. I swear you could hear a hairpin drop right when I felt the moment stop. Glass shattered on the white cloth. Everyone moved on. I stayed there, dust collected on my pinned up hair. So to me, the idea of right where you left me is she's at a restaurant, but dust is collecting on her, so nothing's happening. So the idea to me of the table is I'm sitting somewhere where I should be served food, where I shouldn't be starving, yet I'm not getting fed. It's the idea of you were in it for you don't understand it why you felt alone. You don't understand why you're sitting at a table so hungry. And it turns out you were at the wrong table. You were in the wrong relationship.
Y'all, if y'all are starving, get up and go to a different
I
table.
can't. I have to finish this podcast. Anyway.
We just
Leave,
finished without
Jody.
Jody.
Get out right
And
now.
all of the
The end.
foes and all of the friends have messed up before. They'll mess up again. Life is a song. It ends when it ends. You move on. So what's changed here is we still have friends and foes, all the king's horses and all the king's men. But this time they've messed up before and they'll mess up again. And when the song ends, you move on.
The kind of Humpty Dumpty reference to me makes it almost feel like it's okay. Like Humpty Dumpty has a great fall and people can't put him back together again. And here, like, I'm kind of getting the sense that that's okay. Like, maybe it's the way that it kind of echoes it, but in saying have messed up before, they'll mess up again. Somehow I'm drawing a connection between these two poems and it makes it feel like it's okay to have a great fall and not be able to be put back together again.
I think where this changes for me is like this one's about resilience. We went from being stuck in a cycle of being
Yeah.
wrong to now there's a sense of resilience that, like, okay, people mess up and you move on,
Yeah.
you figure it out.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying
Yeah,
it's okay.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
if you fall and it gets messy and you feels broken, like, it's okay.
It's okay to move on
That's
and figure it
fine.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really unique about this to me is typically her churn happens in the bridge. And I feel like we have gotten the churn in the song earlier. To me, the churn is you get up from the table, you're starving until you're not. You know, I think that's
You make
we're
a
starting
move.
to churn because in the pre-chorus, like you're saying, is like, hey, you're gonna move on. And we don't have a but anymore. The first time the chorus says but now we're going with and that's when I told you it's all right. So I think we made a churn earlier in the song than we normally do.
And I think I go back to the reason I feel like this is two different stories of two different people. This is the I now taking that same advice and giving it to somebody else. And I think that's why we get this sense of resilience, because the I has been through all this shit and stuck, and mom was like, hey, you're resilient. You've made everything opalite. Now she's able to give that same advice to somebody else. Hey, I recognize this in you. You felt stuck. You felt like things aren't going right. Well, you know what? Things happen. You'll mess up and you move on. And I'm telling you, it's all right. You've been dancing through the lightning strike. So I think that's also why I'm stuck in my ways of like, that's why I feel like this is not still mama's story telling her the whole thing, because I feel like we've gotten that change, Jen, because the speaker has learned and is now using that same example and able to give that advice to somebody else.
What if it's two different mamas giving these advice?
Okay. Because because the chorus changes. I have advice. The chorus changes. My lord never met no one like you before.
Okay, fine. It was a good argument, Jody. I just didn't get that the first time.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, the chorus is the same.
But I
so
love
don't
that it
think-
went from never, and I think that's also reinforces my point, or like the why I think that it goes from mom saying like, Lord never made no one like you before. Now she's able to say like, I've never met no one like this new speaker is able to say, I've never met no one like you before. You are unique in your own way.
Okay, and then we have the bridge, which I can read.
Go for it.
This is just a storm inside a teacup, but shelter here with me, my love. Thunder like a drum. This life will beat you up, 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 up. This is just a temporary speed bump, but failure brings you freedom, and I can bring you love, 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 love. Don't you sweat it, baby.
So, Jen, what you were saying about the change happening earlier really threw me in for a loop, because it is true. Like, the bridge is something where we learn something pivotal about the song usually. And it's interesting that it feels like we've hit that point earlier, because now I'm like, okay, we were done. We left the table. We were starving. Now we're not. Everything's hunky-dory. Now what? What is a storm in a teacup?
Well, what I will say changes is the previous bridges and choruses, both of them, are still past tense. The bridge is the
Yes, I
first
was
time
gonna
we
say
get
that.
the present tense. So I think that's what changes, is we are sharing stories of resilience, and that you can be resilient, and, you know, life, things get messed up and life moves on. But now we're no longer talking about the past. We're talking about the present and the future. I can bring you freedom. And that's
but I guess, like, what is the storm? That still doesn't answer my
life.
question.
I think, well, the storm inside a teacup, we mentioned this last week, is an idiom similar to tempest in a teacup, describing just unnecessary panic and anger about something unimportant. It's like you're blowing something out of proportion. And so this is kind of saying that like, this is being blown out of proportion right now, but stay with me. I'll keep you safe.
Yeah, to me, it's so interesting now that we're talking about this, because I think that is a change. It's present tense. I think that these two people are together because it's a shelter here with me, my love. But I'm also seeing this. There were these cycles that these characters were in of life is a song, it ends when it ends. We were in this cycle, and I don't see any evidence of, other than we had like relationship trouble. Maybe this is a first fight in a new relationship or something. Who knows? I don't think we know. But I do like that they're saying, hey, there's a cycle. This is how I used to handle conflict in the past. And what has changed in the bridge is that this time we're doing it together. So here's all the heartbreak and pain we had in the past. Here's how we handled it in the past. Then my mom gave me advice. I gave you advice. We have learned. We have grown. We've made better decisions. So this conflict, it's just a storm in a teacup. Shelter here with me, my love. Like, we have handled so much nonsense on our own individually before that together,
Yeah, we can do it.
this is nothing.
That this life will beat us up, but this is a temporary speed bump. And any failure, like, again, this is still this person who started off by saying, like, I had a bad habit and I lived with ghosts. And now they're able to say, failure brings you freedom and I can bring you love. Don't sweat it.
What do you think of the line failure brings you freedom?
I think it sounds like something Ralph Waldo Emerson said in Self-Reliance.
I think that it is a freedom of fear, because I think people who haven't failed are scared of failure.
I love that.
And then you can avoid doing things because of that fear of failure. Once you failed, the fear is gone. You're like, the only way is up. You're already at rock bottom. I think it takes away that fear.
Yeah.
Have you seen the people on I See
Which
It
is
on Instagram?
relevant because she has an album called Fearless.
Yes.
I'd have to say. Yeah, sorry.
Have you seen those people on I See It on Instagram? I'm sure they're on other platforms too, where they're doing, it's like day number whatever of doing exposure therapy for rejection fear, and they'll just go ask strangers to do insane things with them.
No.
I saw one that they were asked a stranger to get matching tattoos.
Or
the stranger was like, no.
There was someone on TikTok who was like, I'm trying to get used to hearing the word no. And she was checked into a fancy hotel and accidentally got an accessible room. And she's like, oh, I should really say something. She's like, well, the worst thing that happens is they say, no, we can't change your room. And like, at least, you know, then I got my no. Except they did change her room and gave her the presidential suite at the Pierre Hotel. She's like, well, okay, I didn't get a no, but like, I got this huge suite.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
I think you're so right, Monzi.
I love that. I also think, I mean, if we bring it to a relationship and relationship failure, I think you can reframe a failed relationship as freedom, as, especially if it's a relationship that felt like she was in her phone and you were just a pose and you felt alone.
Yeah.
I think that society tells us we should stay in a relationship
Yeah.
when we are not happy and feel alone. And there is
Yeah.
so much freedom
And breaking out of it.
in breaking out of that and
Yeah.
realizing that, oh, I feel less alone when I'm actually not in a partnership. And that, I think, is a really paradoxical thing to recognize, but an important one.
I thought you were going to go a different direction because I like that one. I was thinking of when you're in a relationship that's actually safe, when you mess up, the freedom of like, I dropped the ball on this, and your partner being like, I
It's okay.
forgive you.
Yeah, don't sweat
It's-
it.
Like, I love that. This is just a temporary speed bump.
Yeah.
Like, when you've been in a really bad relationship, if you get into a new one and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I said I would do the laundry and I totally forgot today. And your partner's like,
I like
literally,
that.
this doesn't matter.
I like that because I think that goes back to the storm inside a teacup, that like,
Yeah.
this is all making something out of nothing. And like, we can weather this together. It's okay. And I love, and I think that all of these tie back into, I can bring you love.
And don't you sweat it, baby.
And don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. And I think that like, don't you sweat it, baby, is like almost the thesis of the song. Like, you got this. You'll be good.
It's interesting to me that, Jen, you mentioned early on that this song could be a little bit of like whatever you make of it, which is interesting because it's opalite is man-made stone. I do feel like the rest of the lyrics leading up to this bridge were that narrative structure, the story. You were kind of following along. There's a lot of different interpretations you can take in any direction, but there's some clarity in the ambiguity and in the metaphor and the examples. This bridge feels closed off to me by comparison, where I genuinely, for the first time, like, I get the gist of what it's saying. You guys have said it perfectly. It's about like, this is nothing and it's minor compared to the grand scheme of things, and we'll get through it. That's essentially the gist of the bridge, and that's very obvious. But actually, for the first time in this song, I have no idea like what it's referring to.
Yeah.
There's no hints. There's no clues. It feels really personal to the speakers, and it feels like an inside piece of knowledge. And it's cool to me how she can make that transition of writing some things that feel really universal, that anybody can plug something in. And then there's like, right here in this bridge, she's just like closed off.
I think what I hear you saying is the rest of the song has these narratives and these structures, and this bridge is a lot of idioms. Storm inside a teacup, thunder like a drum, life will beat you up, temporary speed bump, failure brings you freedom. Whereas we've had bridges before. The one that comes to my mind, I'm drunk in the back of the car and I cried like a baby coming home from the bar. Like, that's a story in a bridge.
Yeah. Still don't know anything about the story, what it's referring to, whatever. But
you're saying what's happening. There's
specificity.
action.
Yeah.
And here there's not action. There are idioms and phrases to illuminate what's happening without telling you any action.
It's not telling us anything about what's happening.
It's like a series of pieces of advice.
Right.
But
and that's why we get the gist. We get what our takeaway is from this, but we actually have no idea what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of love it.
Well, and what's interesting,
I love that she could just do that, but that's like
so
it's
smart.
like messing with my head. I'm like, I have no idea what this means. But I get it. Like I get it, and yet I don't get it.
Yeah.
Which is why we do a deep dive.
It feels intentional by design of like, people don't need to know this part.
Yeah, because you have a song that is like all these narrative, these like personal experiences and advice, and then for the bridge to be idiomatic and just generalizations about resilience.
The bridge feels like a thing that like teenage me would have like written on the mirror in my bathroom as
if
like,
I was gonna get a tattoo, failure brings you freedom.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I want to get a tattoo of a storm and a teacup. Which, by the way, the phrase is tempest and a teapot.
Apparently, you can say it either way, which I didn't realize.
But it takes on like very different meanings to me, because like teapots whistle and have steam and like have something brewing, whereas a teapot,
a storm inside a teacup feels like it's Professor Trelawney and
Yes, the Grim. Got that reference.
Well, the only other in this version of the chorus, the version I'm reading says never made no one like you before.
Mine says
Again.
never met.
Okay,
Mine also
let's go
says
to the
never
source.
made someone
We're going
like
to
you
the
before,
source.
yeah.
The last chorus says nothing because it ends with the bridge.
What?
Isn't that weird?
Taylor's having a baby. Done.
What?
She said never made someone like you before. There was a storm brewing. There was a time I was trying to figure out what was the bridge, and she's like, this is just a storm in a teacup. It's a whole thing. They're going to get through it. Pregnancy's hard.
Yeah, and then it just says chorus. Like it says like it says chorus but doesn't repeat the
Wait.
lyrics of chorus. I believe when you're listening to it, it says met no one like you before. That's
I know. I want to go like listen to it.
I was kidding, by the way, by those earlier statements. I'm not the kind of person that just spreads pregnancy rumors. I'm just saying.
I didn't
just
even
want
hear what you were
people to be
saying.
happy.
I didn't even hear what you said. I was too busy reading.
It is met if you
Yeah.
go listen to it. I just listened to it.
Okay, cool. So our lyrics are wrong. I'm going to submit a note. Wrong.
Because every time I hear made, it
Yeah.
was very confusing to me. So I was like distinctly aware of it. So yes, it is met in the song.
Cool. Purpose.
I'm
Close it out.
ready for my purpose.
Go.
I think this song is about resilience and about when you find your own resilience and your own belief in yourself that you can then help someone else and share, help somebody else get through things for them. But like you really can't help somebody else until you find your own ability to take something bad and change it. And that sometimes it really does take somebody else giving you that advice and helping you recognize that like, hey, you've actually done a lot and gotten through a lot and will continue to get through a lot and make the most of your life. And that when life gives you lemons, you can make opalite. That's what I wrote down. But I just love how this is a very profound song. This is a very deeply meaningful song and uplifting song wrapped in a bubblegum pop song. And I love how she does that. I love how she takes something that musically sounds really simple, lyrically is really complex, just like when she takes songs that musically sounds really poppy are actually, really dark. She does this both ways, but I think this is a much more complex song that you would get if you don't listen to lyrics. You're just gonna be like, oh, it's a bop, it's great, and it is a bop. But I think there's a lot of emotion and advice here that is really deep and really powerful.
Yeah, I think this song is about a mom giving advice to her daughter and literally nothing else. So I don't know why we would read anything else into it.
Why would you read into anything ever? Who does that?
Interpretation.
It isn't. Sorry, I stirred the pot again.
Your favorite thing to do.
Well, it is. Clearly, I was struck a lot by the self-referential thing. So I agree with everything you said, Jody, but I think that the self-referential stuff to me, there's also this element of this song. There's, like you said, there's a lot of life lessons. We said the bridge is like almost a mini lecture on how to handle problems in life and how to view it. It's a philosophical lens through which you can view the conflict of your life. That's what the bridge could be easily. And I think that a lot of the self-referential stuff to me is having hit it's the protagonist having hit a momentous occasion and of meeting this other person, or of just like at that point of age, at the new year we reflected a lot. At your birthday you reflect a lot. Like I don't know exactly if we know the exact thing that spurred this thought, and it's probably a lot of things, but there's a lot of reflection of there's all of these things I used to do. I used to eat out of the trash. I used to sit at a table and starve. I used to do all of these things. And so I think some of the self-referential stuff from a Taylor point of view is like she just went through 2 years of the Eras tour where she was revisiting every era of her life through songs several nights a week, week after week, week after week. And to spend that's like the equivalent of like if we read all of our diaries from growing up like once a week for
No,
2
thank
years.
you.
Hard pass. I don't want to do that, but it would be impossible to not reflect if you did that. And so I think that's why those were so interesting to me. It's this sort of adult moment of I've been reflecting a lot on my past, and thank God I've learned. Like, I feel some of the poppiness to me is relief of like, thank God I've learned. Thank goodness I have moved on from some of those habits and have more tools on my belt. It's like after years of therapy, I feel often like one of my issues pops up and I'm like, I know what to do this time versus like years ago, you're like, oh, I guess I'll suffer. And I like that a lot. I like that there is maturity, that there's reflection, and that there's growth. I just think that I think that's part of the purpose of saying like let's look on the back, look in our past and see how we can move forward. And I think that, yeah, I really agree. A lot of the stuff that I think she's referring to for her own history is stuff that was a lot of either she now thinks is misguided, perhaps dancing in the storm with someone, or things of her being stuck at a table, at, staying up all night, all of those things. And I loved the comparison to Daylight. I think, Monzi, it was you that brought up Daylight. Like, that, like, flipped the switch in my head for the song of, on Lover, an album and a song about, like, oh, everything was bad and now it's good. It's Daylight. She's saying, like, yes, sort of, but at that time I was waiting for it to get better, and now I'm old enough to be like, dude, I'm just gonna make it better. And I feel like that is growth that a lot of people probably in our mid-30s can relate to, of, like, late 20s being like, oh, I'm figuring out who I am. And now I'm in my mid 30s and I'm like, I'm not dealing with a lot of the nonsense I would deal with. And I'm just going to like much more go out and get him attitude. Like, I think it reflects a similar theme, but she's shown how she's grown. And I like that a lot.
I am going to, as always, like build off of what you guys are saying, but like let me just like blow y'all's mind with one Daylight thing, just because you brought up Daylight. So one thing so like the name of the song was Opalite, and it's all about like man-made thing, like turning something bad into a good thing. But I think there's a question of like who is the person that's doing it. And like in our last episode with transcendentalism, we were talking a lot about like self-made and like this self-reliance. I actually think that the fact that this story is somebody telling her something and then her passing it forward to somebody else, the Opalite is being made by the support system in this song. So this song, I actually think the mama telling is a very, very important point, because let me actually blow your mind by telling you what is in Daylight now. Daylight in Lover was like from her perspective. And she starts with saying, my love was as cruel as the cities I lived in. Everyone looked worse in the light. There's so many lines I've crossed unforgiven. I'll tell you the truth, but never goodbye. That's what she said about her love from her perspective. The love was bad. I'll tell you the truth, but I'm never going to say goodbye. It sucked. It's what was happening to me. Everyone looked worse in the light. She said, I've been sleeping so long in a 20-year dark night. She was not dancing in the night. She says, from her perspective, I was sleeping so long in a 20-year dark night, but now I see daylight. But her mom told her that that's not actually true. You were dancing all along through the lightning strikes.
And
you
sleepless
were
in the onyx night.
in the onyx night. You were awake this whole time. It's a change in perspective. It's what she thought. And then her mom coming in and saying, you gotta try something different.
Yeah.
This is the reality. Your love hasn't just been bad. You were making the wrong choices. You gotta leave. And when you have that illumination, like when somebody comes in and turns that dark night into opalite, like that man-made factor of like you have another person in your life that can change that for you, then when you've seen the light, you can change that for somebody else.
I love that. I love that. And I think it just kind of builds on
these two songs in comparison is so good.
I think that's just kind of builds on what Jen and I were both saying. Like, because there is still resilience, but you can't recognize that resilience in yourself.
Yeah,
you need
by
somebody
yourself
else to reframe things for you and to help you.
Yeah. And then I just remember her saying that like her mom's birthstone is the opalite or whatever, or like the opal. And it just like got me
even
thinking
her brother being like, you're eating out of the trash. You got to stop. Like that's her brother helping.
And then if we go with the interpretation of it's her saying it to someone else, it's she had community support her, and then now she is joining a community to support someone else. It's the like kind of paying it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
love
I
that.
told you is actually, or like somebody told me is actually important. Is like sometimes you have a particular perspective and you just don't know it's wrong until
Yeah.
somebody else like helps you understand what you're dealing with. And
And
then
maybe
that
that's
can like
also why
change
you
and
have
that can
like
change everything.
you also have all the other people in this song, all the perfect couples say
Yeah.
when you know, and when you don't, you don't. You have
Yeah.
all the foes and all the friends. Like you have a lot of people in this song that to be
And it's
like
like, how do those people turn around? It's like it's
they
because
have
and this
people.
is also
People who need
the
people are the luckiest people in the
people.
world.
Yes, people who have people in their corner.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like you can talk about a stone bringing you luck, which is like where we started this entire conversation of just like
Right.
opals. But if the magic is not the stone, it's the people that make
Someone
it.
giving it to you. I had a friend give me
And I
little crystals.
then that makes me love that the bridge is basically her giving advice. Maybe
Yeah.
the bridge and also is in some ways her saying, so people told me this, I told someone else this, let me summarize for you
what
how
other
you
people
take
told
and
me.
go.
Yeah, and it's like
Yes.
when people give you I mean, if they give
And
you a
that's why it's
stone
in
or they give you
idioms, because people always talk in these annoying idioms.
like when you know, and when you don't, you don't.
But Jody, when you know, you know.
It's true.
Well, I
It's not
don't
false.
know,
Which means you don't.
which means I don't. Oh, I love this. I love this song even more. And now I want an
I
opalite
know,
ring.
this is so fun.
Should we each give
I love
maybe that should be our
we should-
pod stone. We should
we all give them to each other.
I love it. Oh,
All right, well, this was delightful. I had so much fun. This was a really fun one.
I'm
This was
so
a
glad
long
we
deep
didn't
dive,
deep
but a
dive
good
bigger
one.
than the opals guy.
I'm glad you starved with us, Jody. I'm glad you were starving at this.
I'm gonna leave the table now.
Keep dancing through the lightning storms and catch us next week as we deep dive and overanalyze more Taylor Swift music here on AP Taylor Swift.
So fun.
That's all we have for you today on AP Taylor Swift. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on your social channel of choice at AP Taylor Swift to stay up to date. And join us next time as we overanalyze and deep dive into the next Taylor Swift song on AP Taylor Swift.